Welcome back to the channel, folks. You're here with me, Drew Heifetz, and I'm talking today about selling vintage retail. How to make money selling vintage retail. I am now 20 years deep in owning vintage clothing stores. Currently have 3 plus an open warehouse that's like an outlet. So I've sort of done it all. I've had closed stores. I've had good times. I've had bad times. I've experimented with marketing strategies. I've done all different types of buying, different types of selling. I've even had thrift stores. So I have opinions on how to make money selling vintage retail. And right now I'm driving in my car to go buy some closeouts. Not even vintage, some like closeouts from the last 2-3 years. Roxy, Quicksilver, Billabong in DC. I've been hitting this place for like 3-4 days. This is like the last of the last. They called me, they're like, come take what's left. So I'm going to buy closeouts. And I had some time, I'm in the car. So I was like, let's just do a video on how to make money selling vintage retail. So this is for the people that want to open stores. Primarily, I'm going to be talking like brick and mortar retail. There's other kinds of retail. There's retail online. There's also retail at markets, but this is like brick and mortar retail. All right. So let's just kick it off with my history in it. I've been, like I said, doing this for 20 years. My first store was Whistler. I had that store for like 4 years. I had a store in Toronto after that. Then I had a store in Vancouver on Main Street, which I still have. Then we partnered with the Velvet Underground, and now we have a Gastown store and a Whistler store and a warehouse outlet. The warehouse outlet's currently killing it. So, there's challenges when you want to get, one store is quite manageable for like a sole entrepreneur with a couple staff. Even some people have one store with no staff. They just run it themselves. Now, I've never done that. I've always had staff. Wow, it just went really dark because I was in a tunnel. I've always had staff, and I'm a believer in like having staff, having great teams. I could talk more about my teams on another video, but in this particular video, we are going to drop a bunch of tips and tricks and my thoughts on vintage retail. We're in a time right now where vintage retail is killing it, picking up steam. I know a lot of people doing very, very well. We're currently doing very well. Of course, there's challenges, but we're currently doing very well. I know a lot of people doing very well in retail. The post-pandemic boom kind of hit brick and mortar retail. People were like, I don't want to buy online anymore. They still are, but they're not as much. The boom of online happened during COVID, and they went back to buying retail. The beautiful thing about retail versus online is that you're sort of guaranteed a certain amount of traffic per day to come in your store, depending on where your store is and like everything else. But like, with online, like it could take you a long time to build traction on apps, build up accounts on eBay, or whatever other ways you want to sell online, especially a website. Like it could take years to build traffic onto a website. You have to build socials. You got to build SEO, organic traffic. Like a retail store, you can get people in your store that first day when you open. If you're in a good street, people will walk by, they'll come in. It might take you like a year to really like catch your flow, but you can get into it and be making some money like pretty fast. Whereas certain online things, it can be harder to gain traction. There's definitely more like hands-on work that needs to be done. I mean, they both have hands-on work. You can get into online selling like for less money. Brick and mortar is going to cost you more investment. But anyway, this is about brick and mortar, my thoughts on it. And I have some great ideas, great concepts to follow. And I'm just going to tell you everything I know that comes to mind about selling in your brick and mortar retail shops. But in order to get all that info, I'm not just going to give it away here on YouTube, because that shit took me 20 years to figure out. 20 years to figure out all this knowledge. So the second half of this video, well, most of this video, is going to be on my Patreon. So I'm going to cut it here for you guys on YouTube. If you want to know all my secrets to retail sales, brick and mortar retail sales, probably make 10 videos on this, but I'm gonna give you the blanket tips and tricks on this one. You want to go jump on the Patreon. It's only $5 a month to get on that Patreon. We're currently running a Facebook group that we do check-ins, we do accountability exercises. We're just starting up the group again. It's called the Vintage Mastermind Group. With your membership on the Patreon, you get access to that group. Like I said, it's just $5 a month currently. I'm going to be bumping that up, so you want to get in before I bump it up. All the podcasts are on there, full 2-hour episodes of the podcast, which if you're a vintage dealer, you want to be tuning into that show. I know I've had people tell me that they make $500,000 now a year in vintage without any staff, without much overhead, because they listen to the podcast. Now that is fucking sick. So I'd love to hear that kind of stuff. You too can get a lot of knowledge from the podcast, help your business grow in any way you want. And the podcasts are not just about brick and mortar retail. They're about everything. They're about selling online, doing markets, being a collector. It's like everything you need to know about the vintage world, the vintage community is on the podcast. So there you go. Tap in, links down below. Or you can sub here on YouTube and get the full video. See you over there for the rest of the video.